Hello friends and family, welcome to what is yet another beautiful week at Lone Trade FX. For those who don't know me, my name is Sibusiso Mdiniso, and I would like to welcome you to another video of Forex lessons with Sibusiso Mdiniso. But before we can get into what we're going to talk about this week, I just wanted to wish you guys a happy Easter. May God bless you with lots of love, peace, prosperity, good health of mind and body. So in this week's video, we are going to discuss. I'll be giving you guys an update on what happened on US30 and XAUUSD. If you remember in last week's video, we're just giving you an analysis of XAUUSD and US30, and then now with this week, I'm just gonna give you an update of what happened and also the lessons that I got from this week. So we're gonna start off with gold. So let's just open the chart for gold. So looking at gold, if you remember very much, if you can see here, this is something that is new now. So this analysis is what is the analysis that I started to notice during the week. So last week we anticipated that gold was gonna shoot up from this point here, gonna go to the upside up until maybe there. And then what I didn't notice was that gold was still respect. So the reason why I said that, let's start with the reason. The reason why I said that was because if you're looking at the daily time frame, you can see that here we had an impulsive move, and then we started to correct here. So this was an impulse, right? So first touch, right? Second touch, right? And then let's do that again. So first touch, then went up, and then went down, the up. Second touch, up, so two touches, so two, and then third touch, and then at that third touch here we saw some sort of a correction, that is a descending channel. So that's what we saw earlier, and then that's what gave us the confirmation that now XAUUSD was gonna make this correction that is happening here, and then after this correction we are going to go to the upside. But what I didn't notice also was that gold was still following this momentum that is within the correction. So sometimes in the market there's like there's analysis, there's trends, there's what we call trends and trends. So basically it means that inside this correction there were also impulsive move corrections, impulsive move corrections, impulsive move correction, impulsive, and so forth, right? So what I didn't see was that gold was still respecting the fact that this was an impulsive move, right? And then this became, let's use that one. So this was an impulsive move, and then this became the correction. So first, second, third, right? And then corrected, and then it broke, and then it retested there, made the correction there, and then shot to the downside. So I didn't see that. So I started noticing that when the first entry that I took here hit stop loss, and then started to notice that gold was actually pushing to the downside first before it can go to the upside, right? Then that's when then I started to look for other ways to go to the downside. So the first trade that I took hit stop loss, that is, we lost 3 points. So 3 points is like 30 pips, right? So if I'm using South African rands, that's like 44 rand, right? And then now I'm using lot size is not point, not one, right? And then after that we saw another entry here, because here this was the possible support there. So I anticipated that this price here, if it breaks that price impulsively and then retest, and then we're gonna go to the downside, we're gonna continue pushing to the downside until it get there. And then we see that here it did exactly that. It broke the support there, and then it retested it, and then that's when we had our sell here, and then we made take profit of 15 points. So in overall, here we lost 3 points, here we won 15 points. So in overall, 15 minus 3, that's 12 points. So meaning we made a profit of 12 points, right? And then after that we saw another entry right here, that is sign of a reversal. So it made a first touch, second touch, third touch, right? Then that's when we had our entry here, and then that's when we entered our entry up until there. So that's when we took our take profit. So let me just fix it there. Let me just do that. So we always risk 3 points, right? No more than 3 points. Then that's when we had our first take profit. And then you see the target then here was 33 points. So now if you can do calculations, so we had minus 3 plus 15, right, which gave us, right, 12. Sorry about the noise that is happening outside. Plus, let's see that one there, 33, which then gave us 45 points. So for this week, we definitely on a winning streak. For this week, it was like a very good week for us. We made a profit. Well, we make a profit of 43 points in profits. But if you're using the analysis of risk and reward ratio, it's different. It's the different understanding for that one, because for if you're using risk and ratio rewards, you're gonna use the values there. You can see here it's the risk reward ratio, it's 5.6, so which is it's 1:5. Here again 1:5, and then here 1:11. So if you can use that, we lost 1 point, we lost 1, but we made 16. So our risk ratio, we lost 1, but we won how much? 16. So that 16 is around what, 45 points. So now we're gonna discuss about what I learned from XAUUSD. So first of all was, first thing that I noticed on the XAUUSD was that XAUUSD, if you notice here, when I was analyzing, the problem that I think the only thing that made me ignore the fact that, well, not ignore but not see the fact that the XAUUSD was still dropping, creating this huge, this nice entry here that we missed, was because, see here, we had a correction and another correction. But then because of there was a correction and another correction, in my mind I thought that this was a bigger correction here, some sort of a bigger correction, but then I couldn't quite understand why. So as a result, I started forcing it, but not knowing that I was forcing it, up until I noticed something. And then that's when I realized that XAUUSD becomes much more better when you're using the line chart. So what is a line chart? So basically, line chart, it doesn't show the candlesticks, but now it only shows you the analysis, but using the line. So to find that line, you can click that arrow there. See here it says bar style. Then here you see this line, and then you can click on line, and that's what I started to notice then. Because here, when I noticed to this part here, that's when it became more clearer for me. Then that's when I was like, oh, okay, this is something that I didn't know about XAUUSD, but now I know. So which is now, if I'm using XA, if you next time now when we're analyzing on XAUUSD, it is best that we look at the candlesticks also, and also make sure that we're sticking to the line chart, because the line chart is basically the one that helps us see, well, basically helps us see the patterns that we're going to use for entry. So this is going to only help us to when we analyze and also when we enter the trades, right? So that's the first thing that I noticed about XAUUSD. Another thing that I noticed about USD, so I have notes here, let me just look here. So first of all is that, oh, another thing that I noticed about XAUUSD was that on the time frames of entry. So if you're looking at the patterns, if you're looking at the structures, the patterns that I'm taking actually, or the structures that I'm taking, XAUUSD, like they are much more clearer on a 1 hour time frame and on a 30 minutes time frame. So which is that when I'm analyzing now this week, now when we're about to analyze for XAUUSD, you're going to notice that the analysis, we're going to do it from weekly to 4 hour. And then now if I'm looking for entries, then that's when I'm going to use 1 hour and 30 minutes basically, so those are the time frame that I'm going to use to actually see what is happening there. Because how did I notice that? I noticed on this third entry that I took here. So because of I was using 15 minutes, so this is what happened actually. So I looked in also another thing, the reason why I'm saying now it's line charges was more clearer than the candles. So I saw this pattern happening there, this kind of a pattern there here, but now the problem was these tweezers top, yeah, that's what we call, well, no, we call them tweezers bottom, or it's called tweezers, yeah, call them tweezers. So I noticed this right here, there's this breakout here, and then another there was this candlestick that pushed to the downside, and another one that pushed to the upside, and then now which made it like difficult for me to see this as a descending channel. But then when I started to, well, so because that thing gave me like some hesitation, because now I wanted to say this was my setup, but I couldn't quite understand it, like the way that it was forming, right? And then that's when I started to look at 30 minutes, and I was like, okay, now in 30 minutes I can see that this was this huge rejection that is like a shooting star. But now again, if that's the shooting star, it means that I need to ignore this bottom here and then start noticing. Let me just remove this. So it means that I had to ignore this lower shadow here, or this wick, and start to focus on the body of this previous candlestick that is before this one that had rejection. Then that's when I started to spot that, and then because of like it was not clear, that's when I started to change the chart to line chart. And then I was like, you see, now it's clear. Now I can see here that this is a descending channel, right? But this thing was not like the only thing that that gave me like so much like confirmation that okay, line charts, I think it's best to do line charts in 30 minutes and 1 hour if you want interest, because that's where you're gonna spot your patterns much more clear, eh? Because like that is not what I noticed first, right? So what I noticed, then I started then to do what I started to, okay, decided that, you know what, I need to test this. I need to go back to what was happening earlier. Then that's how I then started to actually notice it also here. So looking at this structure here, you can see that this structure, same thing happened here. So you see there was a first touch here. Oh, we've just sort this thing out, yeah. So you can see that there was an impulsive move here, and then there was a first touch, boom, second touch, boom, third touch, right? And then boom, the third touch there, and then it started to correct, and then it broke out there, and then it made another correction, and then it broke out, and then created another huge correction, and it broke out, then created a double top, and then boom to the downside. So that's when I was like, okay, now I'm confident enough now to see that XAUUSD really follows this type of chart, that is the line charts, right? And then I went also I carried on, continued going to the 1 hour, and then I also saw this part. But then like there was so much more that made me like understand that. And then that's when I also noticed on a 1 hour, see here how clear this is. So you see the first touch, second touch, third touch, and then there was a retest, last case there, and then it broke to the upside, and then double bottom went to the upside. Then that's when I then understood that, that's when I came up to a decision that XAU USD really respects this type of movement. So now we're gonna quickly go to the analysis for this week for XAU USD. I hope you guys understood that. So now let's remove our candles, and then just use our weekly time frame. So right now we're gonna start analyzing again XAU USD, right? So we're gonna do the same thing that we did again, but we see again here with an impulse, and then this was a correction, right? So we can also see that in this candlestick that is happening right here, because of now it's Easter, nothing is happening now because there's no one that is trading this today. Today is on a Friday, but no one is trading. You can see that this is going to be the last candlestick for this the last candlestick. This is going to be the candlestick for this week. So we can see that this is a this is what the candlestick that is a shooting star, giving us more confirmation that we're going to shoot to the upside. And then now it's finally done doing the retest, so we're not waiting for anything now that's gonna give us chances to go today downside. So now we're gonna go to the daily time frame. So what are we gonna do here? We're gonna do the same analysis that we did there, because we still see that is a correction, right? And then we still believe that the market is pushing to the upside, and then now we can clearly see now it's finally pushing down to the upside, but now it created some sort of what, a double bottom here. So okay, so this was an impulse correction, second, third, and then it completed the third touch here by creating a double bottom. So now we're pushing to the upside. So now looking at this time frame, that is, now we're going down to the what, to the 4-hour time frame. So looking at the 4-hour time frame, we can see that this is when now we're trying to start and analyze and see what the market is currently doing, right? So we say that okay, so the market here was pushing to the downside, right? And then started to create what we call a rising wedge, and then it broke down, right, to the downside. Then when it got there, it started to correct, going to the upside. So which is now we're actually looking for ways to go to the upside. But now how are we going to do that, right? Meaning now we need to find ways that are going to help us to actually go with the market. So now here there's nothing that we see here that is going to be variable, that is going to be like, so like a or of value, something that is going to be like a variable here. So there's nothing that I see here. But now if I go to the 1-hour time frame, there's something that I see here. So I see here that now it's time to actually look at the at the line chart to actually see what is happening here. So if you go to the line chart, you can see that there's some sort of a trend line here, right? Some sort of a trend line there, right? But this trend line is not much of value. But what is more important here, I can see that there's this area that the market is trying to respect, right? So if that is the possible area that you're trying to respect, then that means that that is going to be our resistance. And then now we see that the market here, it corrected and corrected and then broke to the downside, right? And then after that it corrected again, and then it went to the upside, and then now it's starting to correct again. So what are we anticipating now? We're anticipating that the market is going to impulse, right, and then start correcting, right? That is 1, 2, 3, and then on the third touch there, and then that's when we're gonna expect the market to push to the downside a bit up until it gets here, maybe, or up until it gets here. So when it gets here, we're gonna look at how it's getting to that part. So if it's getting there impulsively, and then that's when you're gonna know that the market is gonna break to the upside, to the downside, and then start correcting again, 2 touches this time, then push to the downside. And then if it gets here impulsively again, that's when we anticipate that it's gonna break out, then correct again, and then continue. Let me just fix that. Continue pushing to the downside up until, let me just, yeah, up until it gets to the downside there. But because of now we are looking at the bullish momentum, so we're expecting only to actually go up until, let me just remove that. Okay, let me just, okay, up until it gets here, and then from here, and then it can finally push to the upside. And then so now because of the bullish momentum, we're anticipating that it's going to correct there, push it downside, create the full setup. Then when it gets there, it's going to start to correct, right, and then push upside, break out there, then go to the downside, and then finally go to the upside. So that's basically what I'm anticipating on XAUUSD. But if there's something that you would like to also add, please make sure that you add on a comment there, and also make sure that you subscribe so that you can also be able to see what happened for the upcoming week, or what happened next week Friday or next week Saturday, when we finally analyzing on a weekend. So which means that we are done for XAUUSD. So now let's go on to US30. So now in US30, this is actually what we have. So for US30, if you remember, for US30 we anticipated that we wanted US30 to come to this area here, right? But now we see that US30 has been correcting for the longest time. And then now US30 has been doing like something that I really don't know. It's the first time I'm seeing like doing something like this. There's no pattern that is clear here. I can't see what is happening. So we've been like basically waiting for US30 to actually see how the US30 is going to react. And then we've been waiting for that for the longest time now. And then now we see that the US30 started to correct here, because that's what I noticed here. I noticed that it started to make some corrections here. Then I thought that maybe it was because of it was correcting here. I thought that it was going to break out here and then do something like this and then come to the area that I anticipated up. And then when it gets here, and then I would like now know for sure that it's going to the upside. But now nothing has been happening for US30. So the analysis that we had for US30 is still the same thing. The only thing that we added was that US30 now created the a resistance. So now what are we anticipating for US30? So now the only thing that we anticipate is that now US30 now we no longer think that US30 will now retest in this support, because now there's new support now. So I'm anticipating that now US30 can come to this area here. Then that's when we're going to actually put in our entries, because in overall US30, if you remember, US30 is bullish momentum, right? That is, in overall it's still bullish, so we're anticipating something like that there. So we're still waiting for US30 to actually give us some sort of a rejection here, reverse up until it gets there, and then if it then now when it gets there start to correct, and then that's when we wanna enter our trade. So that's it for today, guys, and again I wish you guys a happy Easters. Make sure that you enjoy the weekend. See you on the next video. Cheers.